Well, thank you. It's really great to be here. We've come from, well, we call this the other place, but I guess, you know, you might see it the other way around. But so Naomi and I have come from Cambridge, and the third person who worked on this project, Kate Noble, couldn't be with us, which is a real shame because she worked extremely hard on writing up the brilliant report, but she sends her apologies. So we are from the University of Cambridge Museums, which is a consortium of 8 museums and the Botanic Garden, and we're supported by Arts Council England's major partnership museum funding. And it was thanks to the support of UCM that Naomi and Kate and I were able to get out of our normal museum jobs and go and actually do this project. So Naomi works in the Polar Museum, Kate in the Fitzwilliam, and I work in the Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology. So 3 quite different collections with 3 very different measures of staffing and all sorts of different things, but we were able to get out of the museum and go and do this project, looking at what teachers want from a digital museum resource.
So, my background is not in museums, and it's certainly not in technology, okay? I'm a teacher by trade, taught for 20 years. I've been in the museum world for 5, so relatively new. Kate and I got together and we were worried because lots of our museums in the consortium are tiny. I mean, absolutely tiny. The Polar Museum is smaller than this room, to give you an idea. We're at capacity. We cannot meet demand, so we're turning groups away. It's a problem. It's a lovely problem to have, a fantastic problem to have, but we want to extend our reach, extend our capacity, and digital is the way forward. But what do teachers want? I thought I knew, but we thought it would be good to test it. So we went into the classroom.
And there's some stats on a slide of what we actually did. So we went into schools, both primary and secondary, and we observed teachers not putting on special classes for us. It was just their normal class that we sat and watched how they were using digital technologies in their normal everyday teaching. And so that was from, we visited nursery classes right the way through to 6th form in these 5 different schools. And then we took those teachers at the end of the school day, fed them lots of biscuits, and we sat with a few different websites that we picked out and resources, and just said, you know, have a look around, see if you can find something for a lesson that you might be thinking about planning. And we observed them, we made notes while they were, you know, going through the websites, we recorded them, and then we also took some museum objects and got them to ask some questions about those. And again, we recorded all those conversations and I transcribed them. And so from that, these are the results of this kind of mass observation that we did.
Right, primary schools, my natural ground, my background. So, how are primary schools using technology? They are still using the audio headsets for group storytelling, listening to audio and reading the book at the same time to improve young children's reading. Still going on. Lots of individual iPads used for both, again, the reading or one-to-one with an adult or small groups. Loads in early years of smartboards being used for fine motor skills. Set down low on the wall, children drawing, doing stuff. A lot of that in early years. The higher up in primary you get, towards 9, 11-year-olds, we're seeing a lot of iPads, a lot of standalone computers, and a lot of laptops being used for research. A lot of research being done on these. Okay? So those are the standard methods we were seeing. On the whole, smartboards, the higher up you get within primary, are being used for group or class teaching. Primary and secondary, there is an overlap, but there is a big difference as well. So all of the schools were heavily reliant upon online platforms. A lot of platforms are being bought into and used across the board by the whole school. Lesson plans. We're going to return to this later. Heavily adapted. Big warning bells ringing here. To summarise, again, whole class teaching. Less technical support in a primary school, much more technical support in a secondary school. In secondary schools, there's less smartboards. and there's a lot more individualised learning.
So in the secondary schools that we went to were ones where they had a scheme for every pupil to have their own iPad, and there was definitely much more individualised teaching. Not all the classrooms had whiteboards, but they often used, the teacher would set a test, and then all the pupils would respond at the same time, and as they were doing it, the results would come up on the board. So those kind of quizzes, revision quizzes, were really heavily used. One of the most extreme examples that we saw of individualised learning was an art class that we went to. Now, Kate works at Fitzwilliam Museum, has a background as an art teacher. I thought I might have to physically restrain her at one point. When we went into the art class, they were studying natural forms, and the teacher had them all Googling fruit images on their iPads. So rather than bringing in fruit or vegetables, they had the images on their iPad and they were drawing straight from that. And that's when I thought, I'm going to have to get Kate before she turns violent. She didn't, it was fine. So after we'd done the observation, we took our objects in, and we took objects from 4 different collections. So it was artefacts, and you can see some of the teachers interacting with the artefacts there. We took in images, so there's a photograph from the Polar Museum, and paintings. We took in reproductions of paintings. And in some of the schools, we took in an iPad which had a 3D scan from the Sedgwick Museum that they could manipulate as well. And we asked them to respond to those. We asked them to write down what questions they had about them, just their thoughts and feelings. So both primary and secondary we did that with, just to see how they were responding to the sorts of things that we were more familiar with as well.
It was interesting. It was really, really interesting. And again, we'll return to that. So, a summary of what we observed from teachers, okay? I'm not going to read what's on the board. I'm going to talk about something slightly linked to that. Things are changing. It's a changing climate in education. Things are always changing. Things are always being adapted and reviewed. We know it's up in the news a lot at the moment. Teachers are accessing and paying for online facilities from their own salaries. And I think it's really important to reiterate that. It's not always the school budget paying for it. Teachers are paying for it themselves. Okay? On the whole, the teachers we spoke to, they've got the skills, but they don't know they've got them. They know which questions to ask, but they're nervous of getting it wrong. They were very much, you're the experts, we're not. But they were the experts. They are the educational experts. And a lot is to do with confidence, I think. I think this sign just shows it totally and utterly. These are all the standard questions we ask in museums, and they're standard education questions. They knew it. They absolutely knew it. And it's given them the confidence.
So then we put together all our findings and put together the report, and then we came up with these kind of 5 key points that we thought were the kind of results, the summary of what teachers want. So we'll go through each one a little bit now.
Right, trusted sites. They really, really, really are aware that not all sites are trusted. Yeah? They are returning to those sites that they trust most, as you can see from the quote on the board. They're aware that they haven't got the time to fact check every single thing they see online. They're so time poor. So they're going to well-trusted sites. Museums are trusted sites, but we need to change how we are giving away that information. Also, YouTube. Loads of schools can't access it. Loads. One rural school we spoke to said each time a lorry or a tractor went past, all the Wi-Fi went in the whole school. Or the smart board rejigged, so you had to then rejig it. I mean, like, So downloads are brilliant, not via YouTube.
Expertise. So they really wanted this kind of trusted site. They said to us time and again that we were the experts in the objects. They are the experts in the classroom side of things. They just wanted us to be able to tell them the story, and they could then make it adaptable for what they wanted in the classroom. And we worked with a wide range of teachers, some newly qualified, some about to retire, some who had fantastic skills, some who seemed to struggle with the websites. but they really wanted us to be able to be the experts in the objects and them to be the experts for the classroom. They didn't want to get it wrong. And so you'll see the quotes from the schools that we went to throughout. Searchability, this was the most commonly referred to item in all of our conversations. And there's the quote there that says it, if I don't find it within 10 or 15 minutes, I stop looking. They wanted things to be organised by key stage. They wanted to be able to search for topics. They wanted to be able to know where they were within that site. There was a frustration with windows popping up. I observed a group of teachers who were happily going through a website, clicked on an image, and ended up on a website that was entirely in Russian. It was about collections, it wasn't, dodgy, but they ended up on this other website and then couldn't work out how to get back. And it wasn't because they weren't skilled, but they'd been taken so far away by different windows popping up. So there was a general frustration about that searchability within the sites. There was another group that we observed that were looking on a website for information about the Vikings and ended up on an office supplies website. And it wasn't just within the site that searchability is relevant, but finding those sites as well. And there were websites where we showed them images, we showed them websites and said, have you used this? And they all said, no, isn't it lovely? This is such a great website. And as they searched, looking for particular things for particular lessons, they said, oh, we've used this image. And everyone had used that image, but nobody recognised the website. So they weren't bookmarking things and going back to them. I don't really do that either, but they were every time that, they are time poor. So the lesson is coming up, you put it into Google and up pops the image that you might have used before. So there was an unfamiliarity with that website, but as long as they could find it through Google, it was okay. But they didn't want to spend a long time looking. And there were several times where they said that they would have stopped looking if we weren't there helping them along and encouraging them to keep looking.
Clear visuals. If you've got a class and you're using a smart board, you want the child at the back of the room to be able to see what's on the board. It's not rocket science. Clear visuals, high-res images, really important.
And 3D scans, they got very excited about 3D scans. They were trying to think about how they might use them in the classroom, but all of the teachers really liked that, didn't they?
Adaptable content, really, 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 really important. So many places produce a lesson plan. It's the ultimate insult. These are teachers, they're creative, they're trained, they know how to teach. They don't need a lesson plan from me. There is nothing more frustrating than teaching to somebody else's lesson plan. Yeah? Don't do it, please don't do it. They are asking for activity ideas and links. That's what they want. So, how did we use this? We were really lucky. We had a pot of money from the Esme Fairbairn Foundation in the Polar Museum, and this was to catalogue our Antarctic collection. And so for part of that, we produced some resources. Okay? Now, I have crammed everything onto one slide for you. Yeah? If you want to see more, go to our website. So, we produced 5 5-minute videos, themed. Yep. And as requested by teachers, they're short. There's one on food, one on clothing, one on transport, one on science, one on navigation. They include high-res images. They include somebody showing you the objects and lifting them up and moving bits on them. They include an expert. They're child-friendly but not dumbed down. And with each one, there's an education pack. And this is just one double-sided sheet. So there are 17 objects featured throughout those films. So there's 3 to 4 objects per film. And each object has a really clear, downloadable, high-res image. It has key facts. We didn't give them a page of curatorial speak. We gave them key facts because they are time poor. We gave them links to the videos, and we gave them 5 activity ideas with links to images, with links to the curriculum. We've had this launched 5 months. So far I've had, with only advertising on Facebook and Twitter, we've had nearly 5,000 downloads. That's not bad for 5 months with pretty bad marketing for a tiny museum. So I have, if I start timesing that by classes, I mean, I managed to teach in workshops 5,000 children a year. So I've equalled my teaching. It's the only way to go, I think. We don't have time to show you. There is a little video, which I was going to show you, but we don't have time. So I'm going to flip right on to the next one. Details of the longer report is up there. And please do contact us. And please do visit the websites and go and have a look. If you put in Polar Museum into a search engine, should come up to our page, and we're down as learning resources. Go and enjoy, have a play. Please do contact us. They're not perfect, but they're a beginning and they're a start, and we're certainly going to build on it and still talking with teachers about what next.
Thank you very much.